The ultimate privilege in life is choice. And unfortunately, I didn't have a choice when it comes to making this video. So a couple weeks ago, I actually shot and reviewed the new Cadillac Escalade, but I couldn't put the video out because things got a little out of hand. Cadillac PR saw this review and they were not pleased, not in the slightest. And so they've effectively forced me to come here and review their new SUV, which I'm told is actually quite good. You'll see in the rest of this video. But not only that, I now have to have a Cadillac provided supervisor to make sure things don't get out of hand this time. His name is Brick, and I'm told he has an unparalleled ability to chew printer cartridges into a fine paste, and purely for the love of the game. So on my best behavior, I will be. So it's just Brick, like Adele, right? Like Beyonce, no last name. It's just Brick. Okay. I think the Vistiq is going to be one of those cars that I think a lot of people sleep on. Cadillac is kind of positioning this as the baby Escalade, and we love the Escalade, right? But it's definitely not like a super sporty car at all. It's not very athletic. It's kind of like a big, comfy sumo wrestler in the form of a car. This is the baby Escalade, and so while it's no Miata, right, it's definitely more athletic than the Vistiq for sure. It's got a more sporty drive to it, and we're about to test that right now with the launch control. So time for another Cars with Miles launch control. This is the first time we're doing it with a passenger, so Brick, thank you for joining us. This should be cool, and as you can see, we have a little bit more weight in the car than usual, but I think we should be fine. We're on Goodyear Eagle Sport tires. It is 66 degrees. The road is dry. It did rain yesterday, but this is a pretty flat, straight road. So I think with a little bit of incline. So we'll see what we can do. Cadillac quotes this car to be able to do 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. But from what I can tell, there is no like actual launch control mode. There's no wide open watts like in the other GM EVs. So we're just gonna brake boost, punch it, see what we do. All right, foot on the brake, foot on the gas, and we're just gonna go. That was quick. That was quick. That was quick. All right, hit 0 to 60 in 4.25 seconds. Like I said, we do have a little bit of extra weight in the car, but I think maybe we have the tires a little bit more warm now. So we're going to run that one more time coming back. I think maybe we just don't brake boost and just punch it from a complete standstill. See how we do that way. All right, ready, Brick? Right, okay. Feels pretty similar, maybe a hair faster this time. Okay, so we actually got slower that time. 0 to 60 in 4.76. I don't know. I feel like that was the same. All right, we got 0 to 60 in 4.0. All right. Now I kind of want to do this again. I feel like we're going to have a billion launches of this video. All right, one more time for real this time. Actually, last launch. All right, and let's go. That felt like another 4 second. I don't know if we're gonna crack the 3s this time around. We got 4.29, so I think 4.0 is gonna be the best time that we get in this car. Yeah, I think it could just be attributed to having a literal Brick in the car. So, thanks, Brick. Yeah, not a bad number though. The best number is 3.7, so I think perfectly ideal conditions on a drag strip, whatever, we could do that. This is not a heavy car. I don't know the exact weight, but I'll put it right here. Given that weight, not a bad number, even with 615 horsepower. The biggest number that stands out here with this car is 615 horsepower. That's not a small number. Now, that's more horsepower than what you have in the BMW X5M M60i. That's more power than what you have in the AMG GLS 63. And those cars cost considerably more than this one does. This car I'm sitting in right here is like 80,000 and some change out the door, which isn't cheap, but for 615 horsepower, yeah. Now, granted, those cars certainly have a certain aura and appeal that this car just honestly doesn't have. But like I said, 615 horsepower is 615 horsepower. That's a number we cannot ignore. And speaking of numbers, this is on paper the second quickest Cadillac we've ever reviewed on the channel, right behind the legendary CT5V Blackwing. 0 to 60 is supposed to be done in 3.7 seconds in the most ideal conditions. Obviously, we didn't necessarily hit that today, but that's no number to scoff at. The term super SUV can be thrown around quite liberally, to say the least. Some people think of a super SUV as just a super car with more than 2 seats. I like to think of a super SUV as more of a utility vehicle that has super car levels of power. And once you step into the 6s nowadays, that's more or less entering supercar number territory, depending on what you want to compare this to. But it's not just the power that makes something super, it's also handling and dynamics. And I think, at least compared to the Escalade, this car does it decently well. The suspension is great for everyday cruising. The ride quality is awesome. It's really when you start to hit those like curves and tight hairpins that it starts to fall apart a little bit if you're expecting, you know, but this is a luxury SUV, right? So we're not looking for this to be, you know, a McLaren replacement, right? This isn't an X5M with super stiff, rough riding suspension. We want our cars to be comfortable and cushiony and feel nice and soft and balanced. This is something we want to be able to hand to our grandparents and have them drive with ease, and I think the Vistiq does that quite well. Another thing that I really like to look at when driving EVs is top-end punch. A lot of EVs, you know, they can get from 0 to 60 really quick, but once you're already at 60 or 80 and want to floor it, that's when it feels a little lackluster. When just punching it from 50 miles an hour, it goes. I can't really tell you the number that we have on the Speedo right now, but it's a good one if you're looking for performance, if that's what you're concerned about. This does that quite well. And a pretty big contributing factor to that is that it also has 650 pound-feet of torque. And so if you want to line this up against like a Model Y Performance or a Cybertruck, the single or dual motor, or even an Escalade V, you guys are lined up on the freeway and want to do a 40 roll or something like that, I think you've got a pretty solid chance in a car like this. Are you going to be having more fun in the Escalade V? Yes, absolutely, because that car is just so much more fun than this overall. Like, the Escalade V honestly doesn't compare to this at all as far as like how fun it is. But I mean, this serves a different purpose. This is a different kind of car. The Escalade V is, it shouldn't be compared to something like this. One of the best things about any new GM product that doesn't have a manual transmission is getting access to Super Cruise, which is their hands-free driver assistant. I've always said that Super Cruise is kind of equivalent to having like a really elderly person with moderate vision deficiencies to have you being driven around. Which means it's actually quite good. It's solid for it not being an actual human being. It's something that I can trust. We're doing it right now, which is why I don't have my hands on the steering wheel. You know, on any of the like 600,000 approved roads for Super Cruise, you just hit the button, it turns on, you see this light at the top of the steering wheel that goes green, and you're golden. And now one of the really cool features is that they've integrated Super Cruise with Google Maps. So with the built-in Google Maps on Vistiq, it will then change lanes in accordance with where I'm supposed to go. So if I'm supposed to get off on this exit and I'm in the far left lane, it's gonna put me in the right lane so I can get off on the exit without me actually having to do it myself. So it's becoming even more automated, which is actually a pretty cool feature. The fact that you have this in Google Maps now is cool. I'm more of a Waze guy myself. I'm not crazy about Google Maps, but given the fact that you don't have CarPlay and Android Auto built in, which I've said a bunch of times, that honestly sucks. I don't know what GM is doing with not having. I think they're really trying to come up with like a new alternative to CarPlay and Android Auto is what I mean. I think they're really trying to give customers a new alternative that they didn't know was possible. So this is a luxury car at the end of the day, and it has a lot of the things that you want that the Escalade has. If you want massaging seats, this has that. And it actually is pretty aggressive as far as like how much it like is like digging in your back a little bit. Pause. And then you also have dual zone heated seats. So if you just want your back heated, you can do that. And then if you want your back and your bum heated, you can do that as well with these two separate buttons. And then we have ventilated seats, which is what I've got enabled right now. So all of the basic luxury amenities. This specific car I'm driving doesn't have it, but other versions of the Optic trim do have like an augmented display that gives you like live map readout and stuff like that, and pedestrian view and things of that nature. Fancy stuff. Seat comfort in the car is also great. Besides you being able to be massaged, the actual feeling of the seats is quite nice, quite plush. Brick, what do you think? Are the seats comfortable for you? I feel like you just are used to sitting in uncomfortable places. If you ever want to talk about it, we can talk about it, but I don't think you want to do that. Like I said, we love the Escalade for what it is, and the electric version, which I haven't driven yet, seems pretty cool. But I think the idea of having a smaller, more compact version that does similar things but isn't as expensive, I like the idea of that. I think with cars like the R1S, which is a 7-seater, cars like the Model X, which is also a 7-seater or a 6-seater, and they also have a 7-seater version of the Model Y, which I don't think I ever see anyone actually buy. With that competition in mind, I think it's cool to have something from General Motors who has a bit more of an emphasis on luxury and driving dynamics compared to those two cars. Another thing that, you know, everyone freaks out about when you talk about an EV, which yes, this is an EV. I've been trying to avoid saying that because you guys don't really like watching EV stuff on this channel. So, you know, me and a lot of other car YouTubers kind of have to hide the fact that it's an EV just to get, you know, our foot in the door with getting you guys to watch. This is an electric car. It has an 102 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it gets 300 miles, a little bit over 300 miles on a full charge, which given the size of the thing is pretty solid. I feel like General Motors has been one of the few companies who's been just offering actually reasonable range for the money with a lot of their cars. BMW has been hit or miss with a lot of their EVs. Mercedes has been hit or miss with a lot of their EV SUVs. A lot of people are just making premium luxury EVs with not great range. I mean, Porsche included. Is there a world where I would buy one of these for myself? I think I could be convinced. I think I could definitely be convinced. Straight line acceleration, bam! It's good. It's good. It'll get you where you need to go. The range is solid, plenty of luxury features. Back seat spacing is actually quite good, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Rich, you're doing all right back there? Yeah? Not a lot of cons with this thing, man. Interior stuff. I like the Vistiq inside. It's a nice place to be. One of my favorite things about this car that I feel like Cadillac did not have to go this hard, but for whatever reason they're just like, let's send it on the trim. We have this carbon fiber trim with these gold flecks in it. I feel like this is so weird to have on, like, not the Blackwing, but on the Vistiq, the family luxury like 7-seater. That's just a little strange, but I'm into it. I like it. What do you think, Brick? Yeah, so that's a really cool element as well. What does base stand for, Brick? Do you know what base stands for? See, if you watch my CT5e Blackwing review, you would know that base stands for the big ass super screen, and we have pretty much the exact same thing here in the Cadillac Vistiq, a large center screen that you use for your navigation, your music, just general stuff we use center screens for. And I like it. Input response is pretty quick. Fluidity is nice, the colors are nice, it's nice and bright and vibrant, pretty much everything you would want from a center screen. And then we have the little boy down below that you use for climate control, the seat climate control, all the other things you would want physical buttons for normally is now a screen. But in terms of the Vistiq, I'm not mad at the way they applied it here. I'm not mad at it. And it's pretty much exactly what you have in the Escalade. So if you like it in the Escalade, you like everything in this car as well. Hopping into the second row, the biggest thing that this car is missing compared to the Escalade, because it's the baby Escalade, is the second row brain rot station. This is where you would normally find a like 12-15-inch screen right here on the back of the driver's seat and the front passenger seat, where you can access Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, your Roblox speed runs, your Bluey, your Cocomelon, all of the brain rot that you would normally want to consume. It would be here. You don't have that here in the Vistiq. It's a much more minimalistic second row, but it's comfortable. The seats are nice. You have armrests for the second row. And then back here, we also have a digital screen where we can access all of the climate controls. We don't have massaging seats in the second row, unfortunately, but I mean, it's a much cheaper car than the Escalade IQ. So I think I'm willing to live without such things. But what about you, Brick? Are you more of like a Cocoa Melon, Bluey, Roblox, Little Einsteins, if you want a throwback, Backyardigans? So this is what makes this the baby Escalade, the fact that you have this third row. And yeah, if you do have babies back here, so I mean, you have me and Brick, but if you had a baby Miles and a baby Brick back here, I think they would have plenty of room. You've got 2 USB-C ports, one on each side. There's no heated, ventilated, any of the electronic stuff back here, so this is kind of like the peasant third row, unfortunately, but I mean, it's comfortable. I feel like there's a decent amount of room between me and the second row. I'm not the tallest person, but I mean, you know, Brick has like foot-long wide legs, and I think you're chilling back there, right? Yeah, I think this is his comfortable face. I think I'm starting to learn what like Brick looks like when he's happy. I think he's actually quite content back here. So yeah, this is really the experience in the third row. And honestly, given the footprint of the car, it's a decently sized third row. I'm a fan. I could live back here for a road trip. I could do it. So why does this car exist when Cadillac already sells an electric 7-seater? Well, Cadillac is basically like, if you're a brokey and you don't quite have enough motion to get that $150,000 Escalade, then this is kind of the middle ground they'll meet you at. I'm kidding. It's genuinely a pretty solid compromise if you can't quite get to the Escalade level. It doesn't have the crazy power doors. It doesn't have the sick fridge that you have in the front center console. You don't have the massaging seats in the second row. There's a lot of things that this car doesn't have. You don't have the rear brain rot station. It also just quite honestly doesn't have the same aura and appeal as the Escalade, to be honest. But I think it's still an option I would consider. It's got really great straight line performance, usable EV specs, solid charging speed, and solid range. It's roomy, has all the tech features I need. This is one I think I would consider and I would recommend. Good car. So if you want to see more of Brick, whose name actually isn't Brick, it's actually Mike, and he's a great guy. You can see him Saturday, May 24th at the NPC Grand Rapids Bodybuilding Championship, where you're going to see Mike and some of the craziest physiques in the world compete for the excellent title of, what is the title name? I'm sure, you know, I'll have a link in the description where you can know all of the, he's still in Brick mode, I don't know why. But yeah, I'll have a link in the description, you get all the information. That's where you can actually go see Mike and some crazy bodybuilders get at it. You should definitely go, because I mean, he's been terrifying me this entire video. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's why I'm kind of like a little shaken up, not talking like I'm normally doing these videos. But he's got to go eat like an entire cow, so I'm gonna let him get to that, and then I have to go home. So I'll talk to you guys in the next one.